Tom Nash, the fraud. Tom Nash was telling everyone that no one looks at PE ratios. This was back 2022 and before that. Why? Because Tom Nash doesn't know anything about investments. He's a fucking idiot. The biggest dildo knows that PE ratios are important. Tom Nash didn't even know that because Tom Nash is a marketer. Remember, Tom Nash, before YouTube, well, not before YouTube, before he was pretending to be an investment guru on YouTube, he had YouTube channels promoting marketing. He was selling his services on Fiverr, showing you how to market on YouTube. He's a professional marketer is what he is. He was exposed on Reddit for that. Complete fraud. So he doesn't know anything about investments. What he was doing was he was pumping Cathie Wood stocks, and many of her stocks, probably most of them, during that period, didn't have any fucking earnings. Right? So she would talk about price to sales. Price to sales? Let me tell you all a little story. I'll make it quick. All you little kids out there that don't know what the fuck's going on, haven't been investors for a long time. When I was working on the street professionally, as a Wall Street professional, during the dot-com bubble, a lot of companies were being promoted for their revenues, for their sales. And that's what caused a lot of stocks to go through the roof, right? Because they had a lot of sales. Well, guess what happened? One of the reasons why the dot-com bubble collapsed, or certainly collapsed so hard, I mean, you could argue it's the reason why, was accounting fraud. There was massive accounting fraud, revenue recognition. There was massive problems with revenue recognition. You had companies that were fudging their revenues. I'm not going to get into the details. Okay? But that just shows you right there. You can't, at the end of the day, folks, earnings matter. Okay? You can make as much sales as you want. At the end of the day, you want profits. You're investing in a company because of profits. Now, all companies don't have profits. Early stage companies don't have profits usually. And there's times when companies fall into problems. Older companies that don't have profits for a year, a quarter, maybe even 2 years. Right? Palantir, the company he pumped, has been in business for, 25 years. They've been in business for a long time and never had any earnings. This is why he wanted to promote price to sales. The company had been in business for like 20 years and never had any earnings. In fact, they only got earnings recently, a couple of years ago, a year ago or so, I'm not sure. Folks, if you're investing in a company, you want earnings, you want profits at some point. Okay? Anyone who tells you that PE ratio doesn't matter is a fraud. They're an idiot or a fraud. The point is, Tom Nash specifically came out and told people that no one looks at the PE ratio. That's what he said. Did he come out and say, well, the company doesn't have earnings, so we're going to look at sales. We're going to look at price to sales as one metric for valuation. Did he say that? No, he didn't say that. He said PE ratios don't matter. He specifically said no one on Wall Street looks at PE ratios. That's what he said. You can't find an example of a bigger fraud than Tom Nash from that statement. It's impossible, I believe, for anyone to come out with any statement that I can think of that would label them a bigger fraud than what Tom Nash has done when claiming that no one on Wall Street looks at PE ratios. That's like the most obvious lie I can think of. Think about that. He said anyone that looks at PE ratios is clueless. No one on Wall Street looks at PE ratios. That's what he said. But of course, if you have stupid people, they don't realize how damaging this is. You can't repair that. That tells you Tom Nash is a fraud. He doesn't know anything about analyzing stocks. He's full of shit. And if you're stupid, he can fool you. There's a lot of stupid people on ScamTube. Once again, That's why all the scammers are on ScamTube. It's the largest portal for scams in the world. ScamTube has become the video version of ClickBank. It's a fucking huge scam. No legitimate, credible professional is pitching their business on ScamTube. That's a fact. That's a fact. Someone show me. Come on, someone show me. Give me an example. Come on, somebody, give me an example. Anybody want to challenge me on any of this stuff? Okay, no. Because you know what, folks? The guys that are going to say I'm wrong are the guys with the dog in the fight. They're the channel owners that are scamming people. You understand? See, I'm unique. I'm the only guy on ScamTube that's specifically on here for one reason and one reason only, to expose the scams on ScamTube. I'm exposing this criminal platform. That's why I'm on here. Oh, and by the way, you better have ad blockers. If you don't have ad blockers by now, you're fucking stupid. Any ads that might show on my channel, I don't get paid. My channel's not monetized. I don't approve of any of the ads. Don't look at the ads. All the ads on my channel that you see, assume that they're from scams and scammers. They're scams and scammers. Assume all of that. By the way, have you ever heard a YouTuber say that? Of course not. They're not going to say that. Think about that. Everyone on YouTube has a channel. Specifically, it's a business. You understand? It's their business of selling ads. They want to hook you. They don't care about you. They're lying to you. They're pretending like they're a good guy. They're pretending like they care for you. They're all deceitful, demonic scumbags and parasites. All of them. If you monetize your channel, you're a demonic, evil fraud. Folks, remember, the big corporations out there, they're your enemy. You think they're your friend? They want to suck as much money out of you as they can. Any way they can do it. You understand that, right? These guys on YouTube, they're the same way. They all work for corporations and ads and YouTube. And they all have their own direct scams. They're trying to siphon money out of you. They're frauds. You got to realize that. That's why no credible, legitimate expert is on YouTube pitching their business. They're not going to do that. Only failures and scammers. Okay? Let's take a look at the video now. Remind everybody.
All I want you to do after this video, don't trust my word for it. Don't trust their word for it. Go through the videos and see how many times.
Hey, Tom, it's don't take their word for it. Don't take your word for it. Folks, I've mentioned this a while back in some other videos. It's another reason why I know Tom was never a Wall Street analyst. You have to be a good communicator. Tom has kind of shaky English. It's not good enough. You see, because analysts are salesmen, and you communicate with institutions, big-time investors. They're not going to take anything this guy has to say seriously just because it's English. Not to mention his analysis is a joke. We'll be getting into that in the future.
Go and find somebody who's ever worked in the financial industry.
Me, on my third decade.
An analyst, somebody who worked on the trading floor. Anybody with actual trading or investing experience.
Yeah. Advised multi-billion-dollar funds. Worked in venture capital. Worked in merchant banking.
Anybody from Wall Street that you can get a hold of.
That's me. Hello.
And ask them, how do you know that somebody's a clown, a buffoon, and is a fake?
I'm looking at one right now. The telltale signs are obvious. Tom Nash, you're a clown, you're a fool, you're a fake.
If they mention PE, this is exactly what it is. If somebody mentions to you PE, that means they've never worked a day in their life on Wall Street or in any sort of investment capacity, because nobody is using PEs in the industry. Literally nobody. And if you hear somebody talk about PEs, that's like an immediate kind of giveaway. You know that they're just bullshitting. They're not from the industry.
This guy is disinformation. I can assure you right now. Every single Wall Street firm, when they go over talk about earnings, they end up talking about PE ratio. It's a very important metric. Is it the only important metric? No. Should it be used in isolation? Probably not. But one thing is for sure, it's very important. And the second thing is that it's very important, even as a single metric, if you're a value investor. It's very important. There's other measures as well. Tom Nash doesn't know what he's talking about. He's never worked on Wall Street and or in the investment side. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I have. I'm a research provider, research analyst, investment strategist. Okay, once again, I've advised big-time funds. Tom Nash has not. Tom Nash is a fake, he's an idiot, and he's a fraud.
Nobody uses PE. Trust me, it's just nonsense.
By the way, folks, let me draw your attention to the picture in the background. You notice, I've talked about this before. See that picture of Vladimir Putin? By the way, he's related to Tom, in case you didn't know that. Oh, yeah. But you notice Tom was showing this picture. His whole thing was, I'm a Russian guy. He wore shirts with CCCP. I've shown that picture before. His whole pitch, like we're supposed to be enthralled because you're Russian. Well, Russians don't really have a good reputation. Let me just end it there. I'm not going to say anything else. But you notice he was going with this whole Russian push. He even went to the extent whereby in early 2022, and he has, of course, since removed the video, he came out with a video basically saying it's a way for him to feel like he was superior, arrogant, telling you, all Americans, you don't understand how Putin operates. You don't know how he thinks. He's not going to have a war with Ukraine. That's what he said. And his whole thing was he knows how, he's a Russian. He knows how Putin thinks. Right? That's right. He made a video. He took it down, showing what a fucking idiot he is. See that? But notice, ever since the Ukraine-Russia war, Tom Nash no longer promotes his Russian self, so he claims. Doesn't have a picture of Putin in the background. Doesn't wear any CCCP shirts. He's got American flag in the background, Wall Street. You notice that, folks? That's another sign of a con man. He's trying to deceive people with a fake aura, a fake backstory, and then he removes the backstory when it's no longer popular. Someone asked him, what happened to the picture of Vladimir Putin, Tom? Right? What happened to it? I mean, Tom, why don't you just go ahead and put a picture of the war criminal in the background, Benjamin Netanyahu? Why don't you go ahead and do that? Show your real loyalty. Put an Israeli flag there and show them Benjamin Netanyahu. Why don't you do that instead? At least be truthful to people.
Now, let me just go ahead and be clear about this. Mr. Nash, you mentioned that all you got to do is find somebody that's worked on Wall Street as an experienced investor, a trader, an analyst. First of all, traders, the more you open your mouth, the more it's obvious that you are never an analyst, okay? That's obvious to me. Traders don't really care about any of that stuff. Oh, they're the last people that are going to look at anything in terms of fundamentals, okay? The second thing is that, let me explain to you who I am, in case you haven't figured it out by now. The name is Mike Stathis, and I run a research firm, AVA Investment Analytics. Now, I hope this gets to you, because I want to hear what you have to say. Oh, well, he's a nobody. I worked at UBS. I worked at Bear Stearns. I've worked in venture capital, merchant banking. I've advised multi-billion-dollar hedge funds, venture funds, endowments, corporate treasury departments, mutual funds. So I'm not even going to talk about my tracker because I'd be here too long. I'm the top guy that predicted the financial crisis in detail, in depth, and I wrote about it in 2 books. I'm the only person in the world that not only wrote in a book, showed people, actually instructed them how to short the subprimes, and the banks and home builders, but I'm also the only person in the world that predicted that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac would go bankrupt and be bailed out by taxpayers. I predicted that in a book, okay, in 2006. And since that time, my track record has remained pretty remarkable. So I am a world-class analyst. I cover many things. I'm a generalist. I am a very experienced, more than 2 decades experience in the financial markets as a professional. And I'm telling you right now, you don't know what you're talking about. You are an absolute clown. PE ratios are exceedingly important. And for you to not understand that tells me that you have never been an analyst working on Wall Street. Absolutely not. Now, I'm going to educate all you kids out there who might have fallen for this con artist so that you're going to at least learn something. And I'm not here selling you anything, unlike this guy. Here's the deal, okay? And he says that price to sales, that's the only metric that's used on Wall Street. I can't even begin to tell you how wrong that is. That's a joke. Price to sales? Folks, let me explain something to you, okay? PE ratios are very important. Now, for certain stocks, obviously.
So he's blocked me on his Patreon. Let's go to his Patreon, actually. Yeah, so go back here, and you can see ROIC. What is that? Academy. So, folks, let me just go ahead and tell you. Anyone, it's kind of like the whole university, Trump University, Jordan Peterson has University, Academy. It's all a scam. Anytime you see somebody offering an academy, they're a scammer, right? They're trying to. It's kind of like Martin Armstrong, the fraudster forecaster. He likes to brand himself using the names of certain institutions and individuals to make him seem credible, like Princeton Economics or his Socrates trading scam, right? People like to use academy because typically, when you think of academy, normally in the pre-internet period, you had real academies that meant something. Now every fucking internet marketing fraudster has an academy. You understand? So anytime you see someone with an academy, they're a fraud. Write it down. Fraud. So he wants to sell you his courses. Remember, once again, this is a guy who doesn't know anything. He's learning as time goes on. He's learning. He's reading. Folks, you can learn all you want. You can read books all. You're not going to know jack shit. Okay? He's just trying to learn the basics because he doesn't know the basics. It's a guy who doesn't even realize how P ratios are important. So over the past year or so, he's been talking more about this investment basics. He's been promoting P ratios. You can just go through in the channel and see for yourself. He's been talking about profit margins. So this is what he's been learning, reading some like basic investment books. But folks, no one who doesn't have a credible, legitimate background with results should ever be charging for anything related to investments. If they are, they're doing that, they don't have that background, they don't have that legitimacy, they're a scammer, they're a fraud. Tom Nash is obviously a scammer, he's a fraud. He's defrauding people. He's lied about his background. He doesn't have a background on Wall Street. He doesn't have a background as an equities analyst. And it's pretty obvious, right? This is how his whole urban legend rumor mill, people think he's an analyst. He's not. He's a fraud. He's defrauding people. Total fraud, no doubt about it. Total fraud, no doubt about it. Fraud. Making $1.5 million per year defrauding people. Not to mention his YouTube scam ads. He promotes scammers on YouTube. His affiliate click link. I mean, folks, crime pays. You can be a fucking dildo, an investment dildo that doesn't know anything, and just blabber your mouth, okay? Lie, be a bold-faced liar, and you can become a millionaire easily. That's what Tom Nash is doing. He's a fraud. That's what Meet Kevin is doing. That's what all these people are doing, folks. Why do you think so many of these fucking low-level grifters trying to climb the grifter ladder, right? Why do you think all these people are trying to climb the grifter ladder, like Fat Boy. I exposed Fat Boy and his little grifting crew from the beginning. I saw what they were doing, and I shut them fucking down. Boom! Right? I shut them down. Pretending to go after these frauds, but instead, what they were really doing is getting views and clicks and not going after them. Meanwhile, they were promoting affiliate scams, and they were promoting all types of other bullshit, right? Pitching Robinhood, selling ads for scammers. You got it, folks? You got it. Let's go back to his channel now. So, let's take a look at this. Dan Ives, everyone's favorite fucking clown. Let's go back to his... Oh, yeah, I'm blocked. That's right.
So we got these scammers out here, the new breed of scammers, and yet there's nothing. No word from the SEC, no word from the FTC, no word from NEC. At this point, I would just give it the FCC. Somebody do something about it. This can't be. I mean, we have this wild, wild west jungle, these YouTubers and social media influencers. Fucking hate these guys. Put some prison terms. Put some people in prison. People who do that, put them in prison for a few years. Put people in prison. Where's the SEC? Put some charges on these motherfuckers.
Keep this in mind. And if you don't know this, I suggest you fucking spend the time to look into it. Easily one of the top investment analysts in the world. I'm probably the best. It's difficult to prove I'm the best, right? But easily one of the best. Ask yourself, somebody in my status, my stature, my realm, who else is going to go out and expose these fucking little minions fraudsters? Who's going to do that? Who's going to do that? Nobody. Nobody else. getting back as an investor, if it's coming down to here, almost irrespective of what's going on, I have to believe, if I have to make a call in advance, and of course I can change depending on what happens, but I have to believe this is where you want to start doing that 18, 17, around there. Their earnings report is a complete game changer, at least for quite a while. Bottom line, NVIDIA now is going to enter the realm of Tesla, Apple, and all these other big, I mean, listen, NVIDIA can come down to 150, come down to $100. If you don't think it's possible, then you don't understand how the market works. I mean, listen, NVIDIA can come down to 150, come down to $100. If you don't think it's possible, then you don't understand how the market works.